It's the HoopWise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Welcome back to the HoopWise podcast. I am Steve Hewitt, as always, joined by Ethan Fuller. We are the New England Basketball Journal. The MIAA season is a wrap, Ethan.
Wow.
It came and went in kind of a blink of an eye.
Yep. With some fireworks at the end too, which is what we're going to talk about. But
for sure,
man,
some fireworks.
What a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, came and went in 3 months. Like mid-December we started, right? And it's already gone. We are still recovering from pretty insane, chaotic, insert your adjective, MIAA championship weekend up in Lowell. We were there all 3 days, all 10 games for boys and girls championships, and we're gonna get into every game. I'm still.
There's a lot. I mean, when you make the Lowell, it's easier for us. I feel bad for a lot of the teams. Like Lowell drive for me is 40 minutes. That's not too bad.
Yeah,
you get used to it.
Same for me.
But then you sit. I mean, for people, I don't know if fans catch this because they're surrounded by the body heat. But Tsongas is cold because it's a hockey arena.
Yeah.
So it's cold. Probably helps the players a little bit. But we're there for. I mean, these Saturday and Sunday games, we're there for all 8+ hours, and it's a great. I mean, that's the thing is. We can have our minor little nitpicks about Tsongas and the drive and everything, but the games delivered on a level that I have never even seen before.
Big time.
Unbelievable games, yeah.
Both D1 title games were some of the best games I've seen all winter, prep or MIAA, really, honestly. Mm-hmm. We had some fireworks in like D4, D5.
Yeah, look at D5 for some different reasons is also a game I've never seen before, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But
we had some Cinderella runs in this tournament. We had
your D3 game was boys game was awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. Some undefeated seasons on the boys side too. We're gonna talk about all of it. Let's just kind of. I think we're just gonna run it down from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of in order of the games. Again, we were at all 10 championships, 2 on Friday night, 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday to cap it off. Let's start with Friday's games. We saw it was D3 girls to start off the weekend with St. Mary's beating Norwell for the D3 championship. Bella Awumi.
Yep.
First time for me seeing her.
Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, incredible. Yeah. Both ends of the floor, and she's just everything you've written about her. I was like, that checks out. So. What did you think of her performance? I know you included her as one of your stars of the weekend. Of course, you couldn't go in that list without mentioning her.
Yeah, that was easy.
Yeah, that was a layup.
D3 was probably among all the games, and maybe D4 too, went the most similar to how I expected it to go. I think my score prediction was 49-44, and it was 46-38, so not too far off.
We're not doing prediction. We're not doing prediction talk on this podcast.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So yeah, St. Mary's gets it done. That's their, oh my gosh, 3 out of 4? No, 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 for St. Mary's after losing in the semifinals last year. Again, you got to start with Bella Awumi. I do want to talk about some of their other players, but Bella Awumi is just like arrived. It was kind of the game where you watched, and I know her numbers aren't going to blow you away. It was like 19 points, which is very good, and got a bunch of rebounds, a couple steals. The block at the end was pretty ridiculous, but just like the polish and the poise in what is kind of another classic gritty, grinded out St. Mary's championship game. I feel like all their state championship wins recently have been like this, and Norwell's a very, very good team that beat Foxborough in the semifinals, so I do want to shout them out because they did an awesome job. Awumi is like, every time I look for her to add a skill, it's there, and for this year it was the threes and being a consistent shooter, someone who's going to make teams pay because they don't want to give up the drive. In this game, Norwell, it's not like they played like horrendously bad defense or anything. They just were content to not close out too hard, just kind of keep a hand up, make her pay behind the arc, and she makes 4 threes. And that is to be a sophomore and go freshman year, she was a non-shooter in a competitive sense, like, or at least in the games I watched. I did not think she was a very good shooter at all. Mm-hmm. And she is now a like dangerous 3-point shooter. And to make that kind of leap in a year, going freshman to sophomore year, is wild. That's something like you hope someone does throughout high school. And she's just done it in a year. And everyone's looked at her as this kind of superstar, rare, like MIAA high major prospect. Everyone's looking for her to dominate, and it was hard for her last year. And then this year, like, it looked really easy. And even when you nitpick, like, oh, is she going to be consistently taking over a full 32 minutes of games? You looked for that at stretches earlier in the year, and she's just doing it now. Like, she was impactful throughout the game, and it just says a lot about her maturity level and her just like understanding what she's capable of. Yeah. It's really cool. And then like Reese Metellus, center on St. Mary's too. I want to shout her out because she's a senior. She had a really awesome year. She's going to play at Assumption. I think we've talked about her maybe a little bit before. Juliana Conti hit some big threes for them. Just great overall win for the Spartans. They are moving up to Division II. I know I don't feel like doing that whole talk right now, but like, I'm sure that's going to make some people happy. But yeah, shout out St. Mary's. They were a really fun team to watch all year. I don't think I gave them enough credit for how good their defense was all year, and it showed in this one. Yeah,
giving up only 38 points in there, and yeah, Bella was just easily the best player on the floor.
Yeah, and that's like
anyone can see that.
And like with due credit, like Norwell has like Maddie Oliver's an awesome player. Yeah. Reagan Dowd, I have sung her praises for like more than a calendar year. She's an awesome player. It says more about just how good Uwumi is now, that she like very clearly is the best player on almost every court.
Yeah. Let's
pivot to your game. That game, I wanted to, it was a great game. It wasn't like a mind blowing like some of these other games we're gonna get to. So D3 boys, tell me about this, because you got the clashing storylines with Norwell going for the first title and being unbeaten. Old Rochester with the Cinderella run of Cinderella runs for boys basketball. So break this down.
I think this is the game where I told you, like, with all the games I've been to, championship games from between prep and MIAA over the last week, like, I was like, I'm never going to cover a boring game again.
Yeah, you were on a heater. Yeah.
Between the NEPSAC championships, and I was at covering the Putnam National Prep Championship, which was also crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I go into Friday night thinking, maybe can we get like maybe it's like an easy one. And on paper, it might look that way because Norwell's undefeated going in. Old Rochester's a 20 seed, and they've had a great Cinderella run. But like on paper, you're like, okay, maybe this is the one for me personally. I'm like, maybe this will be like a double-digit game, and no. Back and forth the whole way. Credit to Old Rochester. They were awesome to watch. Gavin Martin, big-time plays for them, their senior guard. But this one with some incredible fireworks in the final seconds. And producer Dave, I'm going to ask you to pull up to send the game to overtime. They're down 3 here. This is the play that Dave is about to play. And they run a play for Nick Adams here. It's their go-to play that Coach John Wallace said. And they got a really good look, as you see. We'll close it on the screen. Had a great look. And then Charlie Williams gets the rebound, kicks it out, finds Coffee, bang.
Wow.
Place goes nuts. I don't think the video really does it justice for like how loud it got after that shot.
Yeah.
And
I texted you after the power of the offensive rebound.
Yeah.
Like a good 3 or 4 of these plays throughout the season. That's cool that it was in state championship.
Championships are won by rebounding, clearly here. And credit to their sophomore big there, Charlie Williams, snagging that, being in good position. And then having the awareness in that moment, like obviously like he might not know exactly how much time is on the clock, but I should have asked Ronan if like he like said something behind him because it's kind of like
it was a quick trigger.
Quick trigger to like turn around and find Coffee for that 3. I'm sure there was some communication there. I would be shocked if there wasn't. But Coffee drills the 3, and it was kind of fitting it was him. He was just unreal all game. 30 points. I think he had 8 in overtime. I'd have to double check that, but should have been a little more prepared, Steve. But biggest shot of his life. He hit some free throws, big free throws too, in the final minutes to help get this over the hump. And Norwell, undefeated, 25-0. Incredible accomplishment, to go undefeated. Like, you're getting everyone's best shot, especially when that number kind of creeps into the double digits. I mean, you're getting 10, 15-0. You're probably getting everyone's best shot, and especially in the tournament, you're getting everyone's best shot there. And this is a big credit to their senior group. This has kind of been in the works, maybe not an undefeated season, but this championship has been in the works for a few years. And I think as sophomores, they had about a 10-win season, and then last year they made the Elite Eight, lost there, and then they never lost again after that, which is incredible to think about, right?
That is pretty crazy. Yeah. Credit to Norwell just as a town too, to send both their teams to the state final in the same year is always cool. It doesn't happen a whole lot.
I felt bad for their student section for a minute, because obviously they lost that first game to St. Mary's, and then they're down in the final seconds of the boys game that they probably thought going in, like, oh, we'll easily get that one at least, and they're seconds away from losing that. But obviously the heroics from Coffee and Norwell had a lot to be able to celebrate on Friday night. So that was cool to see. I want to give a shout out to their sophomore big, Jack. I'm gonna butcher his last name, Lucciarelli. He plays on their football team. Dude's arms are just like, I can only dream. Big time plays, like tough plays. Really plays with an edge underneath with the tough rebounds. He had like this crazy, like kind of acrobatic 3-point play too, kind of going to the floor in the fourth quarter. So he was huge for them. I think he had a double. He had 11 points. So I want to give a shout out to him. And Norwell obviously graduates their 4 seniors, and Nick Adams, Coffee, Will Bostrom, Oliver Rice. Oliver Rice also had the quote of the night when I asked him what was going through your mind when Coffee hit that 3. He goes, "I almost shed a tear personally." So I like that one. I had included that into the story. But that senior quartet graduates with a perfect season, Division III championship. But like I said, they'll have some guys coming back. Those 2 sophomore bigs that came up big for them too. Yeah. So excited to see how Norwell heads into next year.
Yeah. What a great way to start this weekend. And then so we moved to Saturday. You have the first 2 boys games.
Yeah.
Break those 2 down.
Yeah. So we had Pioneer Valley against the only 1 versus 2 in the boys championships. Number 1 Pioneer Valley, number 2 Hopedale in the Division 5 championship. Sorry. Pioneer Valley pulls away pretty convincingly, 49-28.
Only allowing 28.
Yeah.
Dang.
And this was, I think it was only 11-10 or 12-11. It was like back and forth in the first quarter. And they only give up like 16, 17 points the rest of the game.
Yep. I'm about to cover a similar game script in one of my games. Yeah.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. So again, another perfect season. I get back-to-back perfect season stories.
Pretty cool.
Pioneer Valley finishes 26-0. And this was not surprising if you've seen some of their games and results over the course of the year. Admittedly, I have not seen Pioneer Valley. They're out in Western Mass. Those games are tough to see and watch from where we are, but really impressed by them and their defense. They only had 2 of their wins this season. 2 of their 26 wins were by single digits. That's it. Everything else was basically blowout.
That's impressive. Yeah. You just kind of own it. Yeah.
Finished the season, I did the math here, outscoring their opponents 30.7 points per game.
Wow.
That was their average scoring margin.
Oh my gosh.
So we were talking about St. Mary's going up to D2. Maybe Pioneer Valley needs to.
Yeah, we might have to do a little alignment check on that.
But dominant performance. Even though they didn't really put up that many points, only 49, but to hold any team under 30. And I had done the math too going in. I think it was like 9 games this season that they've held their opponent to under 30, and I think they've done it. I think they did it 4 times in the tournament.
Yeah, that's the most.
And those are against, on paper, the best teams in the division. They did it against Drury, they did it against Hopedale. Those are 2 top 5 seeds. So really impressive stuff. This was like one of the cooler moments to see, as I wrote about in my story on this game. Braden Thayer, the son of head coach Scott Thayer, they had some cool moments together. Braden Thayer goes off for 26 points. Really impressed by him. Just has like a smoothness to his game. He had 6 threes, so he's got a really good stroke from deep, and he's kind of long. I don't know how to describe him, but he was fun to watch. I think he could fit in I know D5 might have maybe a stereotype or whatever, but he could play in any division, I think. Really good. And obviously, like I said, his dad, Scott, head coach, some really touching moments between them coming off the court, and they're hugging. There's clearly a bond there. And I wrote about this in my story. But we were doing an interview with Scott post-game, championship interview post-game, and Braden sees him coming through the tunnel and comes up to him from behind and like gives him a hug and like puts his head on his shoulder, like, I love you, Dad. Like, like
that's
playing it up for the microphones a little bit, cameras. But there, like I said, there's clearly a really cool bond there, and for Braden to go off for 26 in his final game for his dad to win a championship, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely,
those are the types of stories we're here for.
Yep.
So that was really cool to see.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Is this their first program championship ever?
No, they won back-to-back D3 titles, late 90s.
Okay.
Don't
but it has been a while.
Don't quote me on the years. First D5 title, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But they've won a couple of D3 championships.
Okay, gotcha.
Back in the 90s.
Okay. But yeah, cool to see them get back. And then I arrive at Tsongas for the next game, which is D4 boys, and I'll let you do the full recap. But I got to say, Irvin Zapata, I believe, unbelievable. That's the
shot making.
What was it?
Crazy.
6.
We lost count on press row.
Yeah.
I was like trying to confirm with some of the other writers. I was like, he hit 6 in the first round.
I think it was 6. Yeah,
it was 6 in the first half. We confirmed that.
And it's not just like they're leaving him open. Like, he was pulling some crazy threes.
Yeah, some contested threes, some heat check threes.
Yeah.
I think he finished, I want to say 7 of 9 or 7 of 10. So crazy shot making from Irvin Zapata of Georgetown in Division 4 championship. That put him up to like a pretty convincing lead early. I think it was up to 14 in the third quarter. And they're playing Monument Mountain. So it's 6 seed versus 5 seed in this one. There were some upsets in the D4 bracket with Holland School, top seed, falling to Monument Mountain, who had a great year. I should shout out them, and Manny Brown, who had a really good game in this championship game. They beat Holland, and Georgetown beat the 2 seed Bourne on the other side of the bracket.
That was also kind of a surprise.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And Bourne was my favorite all season with those 2, Tankard and Reynolds. So I was a little surprised to not see them at least make the championship because they made it last year. But credit to Georgetown and their upperclassmen leadership, and Monument Mountain punched back in this. They took the lead at one point in the fourth quarter after being down double digits, but their Georgetown junior guard Brendan Lowen came up with some really big plays, scored 9 of his 19 points in the fourth. A lot of really clutch free throws, which is really hard to do in those situations. Championship game on the line, crowds into it. It's a close game. Like, these are just high school kids playing on this stage mostly for the first time, and to be that calm in those situations, to knock down those free throws is really impressive. And Brendan was fun to talk to post game, and talking about how they kind of formed a new identity mid-season. Defensively, I think they only held Monument Mountain to 7 points in the fourth quarter.
Dang.
In this game. So their defense came up when they needed to. They ended up winning 61-54 was the final. So, yeah, really good stuff from Georgetown.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then...
That was first since 55 for them, I think, off the top of my head.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, it was something long. I'm going to have to go back and look. Okay. But, yeah.
So, yeah. So that did it for boys. We had a fun... Like, we were basically going back and forth with doubleheader boys and girls all weekend. But the next game... was D2 girls. So the nightcap of the girls, D2, D1, and we'll get into D1, which was incredible.
Yeah.
But first, Medfield kind of blows out
yeah.
Worcester South in the D2 championship, and I'll let you take it away. But that was a romp.
Yeah, it was, and kind of similar. I mean, way more extreme than the other example you used, but it's 19-13 at half. So this was
it's not like it was.
Yeah, this was a championship rematch too. So game script again was kind of following similar to last year, where like Worcester South, which credit to them, made it to the finals as 6th seed. I thought they lost a lot from last year, so I was impressed that they were able to make it back. Always a really good defensive team. They kind of were frustrating Medfield's guards. Naya Nagari, who I've hyped up so much, she struggled in this game, didn't score in the first half. I think ended with 4 total points. Again, like their guards played really hard on the perimeter. So it was 19-13. And then Medfield kind of realizes, hey, we are playing a team with no player taller than maybe 5'9", and we have a 6'1", like, wing who can handle the ball and shoot and post up over anyone.
For real.
And so Izzy Kittredge goes to work in what becomes a 43-7 second half, which, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And it's the largest margin of victory in girls' state championship history. 62-20, 42 point.
And that goes beyond the statewide format, right? That's
just that is all tournaments, which is unreal, especially considering they basically built that lead in the second half.
Right.
So Izzy Kittredge, again, I think I've written or said this multiple times, one of the best single quarters I've seen, where she has 14 points, 3 assists, a couple of steals, another block in the third quarter. They just kind of put her in the middle of the paint, and she's just kind of posting up and scoring over everyone. But she's not, like I assume most people who have watched Izzy Kittredge know this, but she's not like a big. She is very much like a 6'1", true, probably like 3-4 wing. So she's drilling a bunch of threes. Her defense also was fantastic. Actually, in the first half, I would say, especially to kind of help Medfield hold this tough lead. And then she is just like driving addition. It felt like every decision she made was the right one. It was pretty ridiculous, and ends up with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 assists, 3 blocks, I think was the final stat line. And it was cool after because we're talking to, everyone's going to talk to her. And Medfield, I mean, credit to the town of Medfield, like one of the best kind of basketball town and youth pipelines out there. And so there's probably a good 30 kids that are behind her just screaming MVP.
I was over there too,
okay. And she Izzy's a very quiet girl. And like, even I was watching her try to celebrate some of the and ones, and she doesn't really celebrate. Like her teammates are just kind of shoving her around, and she just kind of smiles and takes it. But so she is very much not like an emotive spotlight person. And so it was cool to see her kind of be shy while like all these kids are yelling at her. But it was very valid. Like she, up until the very next game I watched, that was one of the best state tournament performances I had ever seen on the girls' side. And so it was very cool.
I was worried because I was like, are they going to be able to hear her do the interview?
Yeah. No,
because these kids are all serenading her with like MVP, like, and it's not that far away. We're like 10 feet away.
It was funny too, because they did it twice. She did the, I think the interview with McCullough, and which is on TV, and they're all cheering in the background, and then they think she's done, and then we're like, hey, sorry, can we grab you? And then they start doing it again, which I thought was funny. But Medfield, unbelievable season. I think they had 1 in-state loss to Foxborough and 1 out-of-state loss in Florida. That team is so good, and they lose 1 starter, Jalen Anagari, but they are going to be nasty again next year. So good luck, everyone. Yeah,
I can't get over it. Izzy Kittredge outscored Worcester South by 8.
Yeah,
28-20.
Yeah,
like Medfield didn't need anyone else.
She doubled
to win the championship.
She doubled up their second half with just her third quarter. That's
just absurd.
And again, I don't like Worcester South. Definitely, I think kind of fell apart once it got too high. But they're a very good team that like fought through what was a really tough side of some of the D2 bracket. I thought D2 was the best division, and Medfield is just on another level. I think everyone kind of knew it, but it was crazy to watch.
Yeah, we'll see if St. Mary's can give them a run next year, right?
Yes, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because we checked this. Medfield is still in D2, so that'll be good.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the game of the weekend. Really?
Yeah, let's get to how much. Okay, we got a good amount of time. That's good. I wanted to carve out some time for this game.
The rematch that everyone was anticipating. Wachusett Bishop Fee and D1 Girls Championship, epic game, one of the best games, maybe the best game I've seen all winter, boys and girls prep or MIAA. So I'm really hyping this up for you. Wachusett 55, Bishop Fee 54. Insane, just like momentum swings and lead changes and big plays from both sides.
Yeah.
Like it was just like incredible basketball to watch.
Yeah.
I'll let you take this.
So
take it away.
I see. So yeah, we'll get to this video. I know producer Dave's already got it up, but let me do a little bit of a game recap because there's so much to break down before we even get to the video. Man, this game was crazy. So the first half, the pace is pretty unbelievable, and just the like individual shot making from so many different players in this game was amazing. And so I'll talk more about Jalen Scott in a second, but you're going back and forth with Scott is kind of immediately taking over this game for Wachusett. Tegan Lanfer, who is probably the player I've become most a fan of over the course of the winter. She's got to be like maybe 5'2". That might be generous. And she is just tough. And like one of the hardest working perimeter defenders you'll see. She's hitting these like awesome step back threes as she gets this game going. She's going to end up with 13 points. Then on the other side, Bishop Fee, it's just like spraying around. You don't know who's going to get hot. Like Lily Singer, again, a player who has grown leaps and bounds over the course of this winter. Lily Singer drills 3 threes in the second quarter. Molly Mullen over the course of this entire game, just like some of the pull-ups that she's making are unbelievable. Charlotte Adams Lopez is getting involved. Maddie Steele hits 2 threes in the first half, I believe. And just everyone is going for Bishop Fee. And then Wachusett has these 2 that are just like carrying the scoring load. So Wachusett starts up 8-0. Fee responds with a 10-0 run. And then from there, it's just like back and forth. I think Fee was up 32-31 at half. And then you get to the third quarter. It's a very similar thing where like the pace kind of slows down, but the half court shot making is still just unbelievable. Kyla Yurkis, who again, I think I've mentioned her name a couple times. Freshman, definitely keep an eye on her. The center on Wachusett has a couple of these really nice post buckets that kind of keep the momentum going there. Jalen Scott's doing Jalen Scott the whole way.
She's incredible.
Yeah, I think Charlotte Adams Lopez in the second half got even better. Then fourth quarter comes around. Wachusett goes up 53-46. Maddie Steele is on the bench, and we later learn on social media that she's been like battling through a double stress fracture. And it's at least it sounds. I need to learn more about this, but it sounds like it was like it wasn't just this game. It was like multiple games because I didn't remember her going down in this game and getting hurt.
I don't either know.
So that sucked. So things are looking bad for Fian. And then Lily Singer 3, someone hits a free throw, I forget who. And then Molly Mullen hits this like unbelievable pull-up 3 to put them back in front, 54-53. There's a minute 20 left. Charlotte Adams Lopez takes like a classic, she's so good at this, takes a classic charge with like 57 seconds left. So now Fian suddenly has all the control.
They're in the driver's seat.
They just have to like, Wachusett doesn't need to foul, but Fian needs like 1 bucket, which they don't get on the other side. Wachusett takes a timeout. They set up the play. I've heard mixed things about this play. I've heard that Coach Jim Oxford was like, yeah, we knew what we were doing. Like I had this play design. I was feeling really confident. I asked Jalen Scott about after, and she was like, yeah, everyone was confused. So I don't know. But then we get to the video. This is the we'll watch it first, and then I'll kind of talk about it after. Hopefully the crowd pop is not too loud on this. Okay, that's good. So that
Jalen Scott basically just weaves through the defense.
Yeah, so she gets at the start of the possession, before the video starts, she kind of starts with Sophie Gibbons, who Sophie Gibbons also had an awesome game. So gives it off to Scott, then sets a guard screen for Scott, like ball reversal into a guard screen. Scott's driving on this side, empty side, so the goal with a lot of this play was to have just like draw as much help away from Bishop Fien as they could. So they got a switch where Molly Mullen, who's one of the best defenders, was on Kylie Yurkis, and then Yurkis was going to go like dive to the basket, partially so that she could be like a dump off, but also to get Molly Mullen out of helping Scott. So then you get to there, and then Scott like goes around the screen, splits the pick and roll defense, and then she just has these long strides and just finishes. So it looks pretty easy, but I think there was a lot like really good play design and just like props to Scott for capitalizing in the moment. And so that was with 3 seconds left, basically sealed the game. Bishop Fien actually did get a pretty decent look and almost made that last shot, but
yeah, they did.
It was unbelievable. And then so Scott, 31 points, 14 rebounds. The way she rebounds is ridiculous. It's like someone, I'm sorry, I forget who said this in the semifinals. I think it was Jason Cook at the Herald. I'm gonna make sure I got his name right. But he said in the semifinals after Braintree, when she had another insane, it was Jason Cook, I believe, that she had another insane double-double. He was like, very Rodman-like, where she just knows timing. And like after he said that, I was like, yeah. And then I watched it in this game and I was like, yeah, yes, she's 6 feet and long and athletic, but she just knows when to time up her rebounds. It's pretty unbelievable what she's able to do. And then add to the fact that she is strong and capable ball handler, great touch around the basket. We didn't even see her make a three. She can shoot, but it was that right after Izzy Kittredge has it's her game. That is the best performance I've seen. Tied for the third most points in a girls' state championship with 31.
Jay Scott,
unbelievable.
Remember the name?
Yeah. And then, like, sorry, I'll try and wrap up this game talk, but I do want to shout out. So Bishop Fien, brutal loss. They have a lot of really good players graduating who I've really enjoyed watching over 4 years. Steele, we've talked about. Sucks that she had to like either play through or deal with injury in this game because she is one of the best crunch time shot makers, really good defender. So that stinks that she just wasn't really able to play in some of the big moments. And then Charlotte Adams-Lopez, another player who is going to Brown, and she, for someone who has never really been a score first player, I think the media, I would assume Trevor and I have done enough hyping up that people know this, but I hope people understand how much of a winning basketball player she is for like someone who she probably averages, I don't know, 9, 5, and 5 or something. She is such a winning basketball player with how she plays defense, all the positions she is able to guard and how much work. Like I saw her, she was like fronting Kylie Yurkis, who's probably 7 inches taller than her at different points in this game and doing a good job. One of the best passers in MIAA, takes charges whenever you need her to, really tough, can score when she needs to. Like she hit a big three and was posting up some of the smaller guards. She's a really good player. And then Lily Singer, blown away by her development this year. Molly Mullen will be back and she's going to be really good again next year. So yeah, I want to give Fien a shout out first before I talk about how amazing this year was for Wachusett. I did not have them in our top 10. And it's not like I forgot about them. I was a doubter. I was like, this team graduated 7 seniors, including a Division I player. There's no way that they're going to really be that good this year. And even the
coach said that. Right?
Even the coach said that. I'm working on a story that'll eventually come out a little bit more about what the season was like for them, but it was not great at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell because they didn't lose an in-state game. And over the course of the time, they kind of realized like, hey, we don't need to be like the teams of last year. We can kind of be our own team and have fun and just make it what we want. And absolutely blew me away. Like Wachusett deserves so much credit for being way better and deeper. So I knew Jalen Scott was good, but the guards, Sophie Gibbons and Tegan Lynn, are way better than I expected them to be. Kylie Yurkis, some of the other role players they have, just like, I cannot give enough credit to this team for absolutely shattering what I thought they were capable of.
Yeah. And you wrote about this in your story, but kind of some heartbreak in recent years too. Last year they lost to Bishop Fien in this game, and I thought a cool moment was Sophie Gibbons' sister.
Yeah, Mary was there.
Who's a freshman at Navy
Yeah,
now, right?
good. I think she was all Patriot League, so she's really good.
So she was there to see her sister win the championship that they couldn't win together last year, but kind of a cool moment between them, right?
Absolutely. So. And yeah, kind of building off what you're saying, this team, I think I did this math right, 92-6 over the last 4 years.
Wow.
And they were so close so many times. Last year was like their team of destiny year where they would have gone undefeated. And it felt like everything built up to last year, and then they lost. And so this year it was like, that sucks. But
like they missed their opportunity last year is what the feeling was. Right?
Yeah. And then they come back this year, and it's their first championship in program history. So
amazing.
Just like unbelievable storyline for Wachusett. Gotta give them props.
Yeah.
So that was D1 Saturday, capped. Great way to go out. It was cool. You
literally couldn't top that at all.
Yeah. But. A game's good when you're going into Sunday morning, everyone's kind of tired, but the buzz is all like, wow, that game was so good last night.
Yeah,
and so
we're still talking about it.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Hi, I'm Jamie Marcoux, AVP for Athletics at LaSalle University. We're proud to offer 15 NCAA Division III varsity sports teams. And last year, all of our varsity teams advanced to the conference playoffs. Our student athletes excel both on the field and in the classroom. LaSalle offers over 60 majors and minors and is located just 8 miles from Boston. With one of the most affordable private educations and housing ranked ¡1 in Massachusetts by niche, we're committed to providing an exceptional college experience. Visit lasalle.edu to learn more.
About it.
So Sunday now.
Sunday. The last 4 games, the last 2, doubleheader for girls on Sunday to finish it off for girls. I missed most of this one because my games weren't until later.
Yep.
I did catch the end of it with the D5 girls championship between Hoosac Valley and Renaissance. I missed the fireworks in this game.
Yeah.
Which unfortunate fireworks. There were some ejections and some things that you don't want to see, but it made for a pretty chaotic game. It sounds like
this was unlike any game I've covered before, and I don't want to I don't want to just rag on Renaissance this whole time, but so there were 4 total ejections, I believe, and I believe 5 total Renaissance players got out of the game from ejections or fouls. It starts in the first quarter, 2 techs on, I think Zanai Wallace, sophomore. And then also within there was a double tech on Ashland Ledger, who was at Hoosac Valley. Renaissance is, first half of this game, awesome. They look like the much better team. They're up 16 at one point, moving the ball really well. I'm going to pause here because Zion Wallace, 8th grader, I'm not a big, I really try not to watch middle schoolers. And so... because I just think it's a little
too early.
It's too early and just a little too extra to do.
Yeah.
But if you put an insane 8th grader in front of me in a state championship game, I'm going to be like, yeah, they're really good. So Zion Wallace, remember this name? She was so good in this game until she fouled out very late. Just dominating on rebounds. Very sneaky good passer. A lot of really good passes I liked in the half court from her. She's a 5'10", larger kind of wing forward. I think I see a lot of Colleen Fury at Tilton kind of connections with her. She can shoot already. She only made 1 3, but she didn't take a lot, and it looked good. Can drive the ball. Really, really impressed by her. Only in 8th grade. And I know the initial thought is oh, this is D5. What does that really mean? But D5 had Alicia Mitchell 2 years ago, who ends up going to Columbia and is Division I. So you can find some really good prospects in Division 5.
Absolutely.
So wanted to shout her out because she's awesome. Second quarter happens. Sinai Baker is getting into foul trouble. I don't think there were techs there. Third quarter, I got to get my game story up to make sure I did this all right. So
a lot to keep track of.
Third quarter, this game is extremely physical and chippy. Couple players go down for a loose ball after a rebound, and someone gets. I don't want to be wrong or put too much blame on anyone, but someone gets kicked Genevieve Leguest and Hoosac Valley gets kind of kicked while she's down. That ignites this whole like shoving match. Officials have to separate it. Good like 5 or 6 minutes of stoppage as they kind of sort out what exactly happened because players left the bench to go get involved, and it was a whole thing. Bottom line is 3 techs go to Renaissance, 2 ejections, and then a tech on the coach. Hoosac Valley gets 1 tech on Emma McZior. I hope I said that right. So that was kind of wild. And I want to say too, like, I'm sure both sides have stuff to say about the officials. I think they did about as well as they could have throughout this game for what was a very physical game. You could tell it was getting a little extra early. I think they kind of waited as long as they could, but when it gets as extreme as it is, and it's in the third quarter, so you've like given these teams time to settle in and it's not really happening. Yeah. I think you got to like set the tone at some point. So I think I was pretty okay with everything that the officials did and how they handled this. Unfortunately for Renaissance, they are up by double digits like so much of this time. They are down 4 players at this point. Zion Wallace fouls out midway through the fourth quarter, and this lead is slowly dwindling away. Hoosac Valley improves. They had a pretty bad start, and they got a lot better. McZior was better. Leisure started to find her shot. She was missing some open shots earlier, but she started looking good. Reagan Shea hit a couple big threes, and eventually, like, they just have more good players on the court, and they are just a little bit more mature. And it's tough because Renaissance is so heavily composed of middle schoolers in their rotation, and you could tell that it was a lot for them emotionally, and especially when you know kind of why the game script is going the way it is. And so, yeah, it was a tough game to watch. Credit to Hoosac Valley for staying locked in. They repeat as Division 5 champions. They're a Division 5 powerhouse. They do a really good job with that program over there. And I expect, I mean, that was Renaissance's first loss of the year. I expect they will be back because they're so young. They're going to get most of their best players back. So hopefully that's a learning lesson for them. So yeah, it was a very interesting game. Very, very, very interesting game.
Yeah. Emotions, man.
A lot of, that's,
when you get to this stage, it's like,
I get it. I mean, that was their program's first time in a state final. You want it so bad. And I think these teams either had played before this year or they kind of knew what to expect. They knew this was going to be this type of game. Sometimes it just happens. And like, I know we're kind of breaking this down. I don't want to over dramatize it. This wasn't like some horrible reflection on the state of Division 5 girls basketball or something. Like, it just was a game that got a little out of hand and it happens. But it was a tough game.
Stuff happens for sure. Let's move on to D4.
Yes.
Cathedral wins again.
Yep. D4. I'll try and keep this one a little bit shorter so you can wrap your 2 games up because they were big. D4 went kind of as expected. With all due credit to South Hadley, they have a really good young core, actually. I think they're going to possibly win the D4 title next year. Cathedral just, they owned this. And it was no surprise. It was the most comfortable and relaxed I've seen them in their three-peat so far. Heja Allen Paisley, who, again, will shout it from the rooftops, so underrated. And because she doesn't put up big numbers, she's an awesome basketball player. She had 20 in this game. Everyone kind of looks to her to make big shots when she needs to, and she did. She just looked so comfortable out there, making the right plays, playing good defense. Tamia Darling has burst onto the scene for Cathedral as someone I'm really excited to watch next year as a junior. Energy rebounder, natural athlete, phenomenal wing defender, plays physical without fouling too much, finishes around the basket well, is kind of working on her mid-range jump shot, so hopefully that keeps coming along, but would like her a lot. Kiana Rains, I've always loved as a guard defender. So yeah, Cathedral kind of rolls in this. Clinton Lasseter, now the all-time boys or girls state championship leader in the state of Massachusetts. He was neck and neck with John Walsh, and we will discuss the other side of that soon. But Cathedral also moving up to Division 3, so talk about that on your own time. I'm sure people are excited about that, but regardless, like, this team plays such a good, unselfish brand of basketball and has always defended so hard. And I've really admired this core. They're graduating a lot of seniors. They're going to have talent back, but this was always, for the last couple of years, been one of my favorite teams to watch. And so cool to see them go out on top.
Yeah. Should we pivot to the final
let's pivot. Let's pivot because I was writing these 2 stories, so I didn't watch a ton of the D2 game, but every time I looked up, I was like, whoa, what
score
is
just
happening
kept
right
getting
now? Yeah.
more lopsided.
Yeah.
as it went.
So,
Yeah.
tell me what happened here.
Yeah. So D2 Boys Championship came right after those girls games. And a little bit, the result, the score was shocking. Somerset Berkley 65, Malden Catholic 44. Malden Catholic was going for their 4-peat. Didn't happen. I think going in, I might have told you, or I definitely told others, I was like, I could see Somerset Berkley winning this game. Like, they're a 6 seed. They're much better than a 6 seed. They only lost once this season. They finished the season ultimately on a 21-game winning streak.
Yeah. You and Feld were both hyping them up during the
Feld was on Somerset before me. Like, before the season started, he's like, Somerset's legit. Like, like they could definitely win D2, and I needed to see it first, but
I get it.
That was shocking because, I mean, I picked this game before the tournament. I'll give myself a pat on the back because my predictions otherwise have not been great. I did pick Malden Catholic versus Somerset in the championship. I did not get the result right. I thought Malden Catholic would go in and take care of business, but credit to Somerset, man. Like, this kind of was rooted in last year. These two teams met in the Final Four out at UMass Boston. I don't know if you remember, but there was a little bit of controversy in that game. Malden Catholic won that game by 2. Somerset had a last-second shot, and obviously I wasn't covering this, but I went back and saw the video of Somerset had a 3-point attempt at the buzzer of that game, and it looked like there was a foul that just wasn't called. And Somerset was definitely like upset about that no call, and Malden Catholic survived that and ended up winning their 3rd consecutive championship. So there's definitely some extra motivation after this game. Bob Slater, their head coach, is like, yeah, we wanted them. Like, this was, and they were just locked in from the get-go. And if you read my story, they were talking post game about how silent the bus ride was from Somerset to Lowell. And I'm from down there. That's a long drive. That's like,
it is. That's gonna be what, 2 hours?
I don't know if it's depending on traffic. I don't know what the traffic was like on Sunday, but it's at least like an hour and a half. So the bus ride was unusually quiet for Somerset. So they were clearly locked in. They jumped Malden Catholic from the jump. Sorry for the double, the double there. I think it was 29-10 at one point in the first half. They were up by 14 at halftime. Never let their foot off the gas. Brendan McDonald, Finn Bjork. It's funny, like, they only really play like 5-6 guys. Like, their rotation is short. And you kind of want that in some ways at this stage. You want to trust your guys in those moments and don't want to go too deep. But they performed this whole tournament. Brendan McDonald, like I said, Max Finlaw, Dom Taylor, who I'm about to get into. I was at their semifinal game, big threes against Masco to win that game. And then his two-way effort on Sunday, he had 17 points, but his defense on Malden Catholic star Matt Gaffney, who we've talked a lot about, he only ends up with 7 points. He had no points at halftime. Their mission was to limit him because they know that, I mean, he makes them go. Yeah, like, he's a champion. He's a 3-time champion for a reason. One of the best players in the state. The only D1 commit in the state for a reason. So they played a diamond and 1 on Matt right from the start, and just never let him get comfortable. Dom Taylor never left him. He was just following him around. And like I said, Matt didn't have any points at halftime, and he got like a couple of free throws in the third to get him going, but it was too late. Like, Somerset had their foot on the gas. And they knew because they were down double digits at halftime against Masco in the semifinals, and
that ended up being crazy.
Had an insane third quarter. Yeah. I forget what the exact numbers were, but they pressed the hell out of Masco and came back in like 5 minutes and like had the lead like midway through the third quarter. It was like crazy to watch. So they knew going into halftime not to let their foot off the gas. Like, they knew how good Malden Catholic is. Let's keep it going because, I'm sure, like, obviously they're going to get a punch from them, and just never really came. I don't know. It just wasn't Malden Catholic's day, really. And I know they lost some guys from last year's team, and but it was a little shocking to see that. And I know they were emotional post game, which was tough to watch. I know. I mean, no one goes into a state championship thinking they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Especially this team that is so used to winning. So I know it was hard for them to deal with that outcome and to be blown out too, especially for Matt in his final game. But unbelievable career for him and Malden Catholic and what they've accomplished over the last 4 years. But the day goes to Somerset. First title since 1954.
That's amazing.
It was their first appearance since 1954 too, so they took full advantage of it. Yeah, big time performance from them. They're like no flaws in that performance. Like,
Yeah,
really. Like,
amazing.
They were ready to go, and they handled business.
I think about how much different basketball must have been for some of these. I know ultimately, the craziest is the first championships in program history, but like for the teams that haven't won since the 50s or something, like
it's really
that's a different sport pretty much that you're playing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
props to them.
Yeah.
And then
We'll wrap it
another
up with D1.
fantastic game. I did get to watch. I think I was probably checked back in for this game by like the second half, so I got to see some of the crazy fourth quarter that you'll talk about. But yeah, I think we were so excited for this individual matchup. But the teams, Newton North and Franklin, we knew these crowds would travel well. Crowds were great.
Atmosphere.
The individual matchup that lived up to the hype between Franklin's Caden Sullivan and Newton North's Tegan Swint. It's just two really good, well-coached teams. I feel like those coaches are both highly respected.
And we're recording also the day after Paul Connolly announced he's stepping down. So congrats to him on an amazing career. Even though they came short in this championship to Franklin, who won 55-52, and just an instant classic game. And if you've been paying attention to my top 10 all season, I've pretty much had Newton North and Franklin 1-2 the entire year. I was definitely a doubter of Franklin going into the year with how much they lost last year.
The coach kind of said that too, though, right?
Yeah, but inside they also had a little bit of doubt. They didn't know how it was all going to come together. CJ Neely, their head coach, has talked about that a few times this season. How he wasn't. He said it point blank post game. In this game, he's like, I didn't expect us to win a state championship this year because obviously they made the state final last year, and they thought that was their big opportunity with the roster they had, and obviously they ran into a buzzsaw with Worcester North, with Amir Jenkins and those guys. So they really thought last year was their opportunity, and they go into this year after losing so much. And obviously they still had Caden Sullivan, but they had some unproven guys looking to step in, and credit to those guys for stepping in. And they only lost once all year to Severian in that regular season finale, which is looking weirder by the day. I don't know what happened in that one, just an off day for them. But yeah, this was the matchup I think we were all hoping for. Franklin, Newton North, probably the two best players in D1 this season. Tegan Swint and Caden Sullivan. I think that's a fair take. And they showed it, man. Caden Sullivan, legendary performance. 31 points.
11 in the fourth? Is that right?
I think he scored the final 11 for Franklin. Yep. Big free throws, big tough shots like that. He had this fall away, like pull up, like fall away, going to his left. I don't know if you remember that that shot late. They were up 9 in the fourth quarter. Newton North comes back. Tegan Swint. Yazwell like this one. I was thinking about it. It was almost like that, like the bird, like a kind of a Bird Wilkins duel. In a way. Not to over dramatize this.
But 1988, great memories.
Yeah. I was not alive yet, but I saw highlights.
Don't rub it in, Junior.
But it was almost like that. They were going blow for blow on the biggest stage, two of the best players. Like, just amazing to watch. I don't know what you were I think you were up high watching this. I don't know what you thought of what they were doing, going back and forth.
No, it was cool. It's just cool how they both like are so good at using the space available for themselves. Especially like I think during the kind of Newton North comeback when Swint started to catch fire, some of the shots he was
Yeah.
making too, similarly were just like ridiculous. Just like you kind of live for those kind of shots in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then, I think the closing plays, I think, were really interesting too.
Yeah. Tegan Swint, they're down 4 in the final minute, and they're doubling Caden Sullivan, like right in front of me. I'm courtside, and I thought they were going to call a foul because it was like pretty physical. I was like, they could easily call a foul here because they were really pressuring Caden Sullivan as he was dribbling up the court with like about 30 seconds left. But Tegan eventually gets the ball away from him, picks his pocket, goes the other way, breakaway dunk, two-handed dunk to make it 52-50. And then I'm trying to replay everything in my head, but Franklin comes back. Caden Sullivan gets fouled, makes 1 of 2 free throws. So it's still a 3-point game. I forget exactly what happened on the next. Do you remember what happened on the next play? I think they got a quick 2. Oh, Tegan gets a quick 2 off a rebound, I believe, with 7 seconds left. Yep. And then Caden Sullivan gets fouled, makes both free throws. Really tough free throws. We talked about it post game. The Franklin student section's off to his left, where he is, and they really packed it in. Just so much pressure in that moment.
Yeah.
Being up 1 in 7 seconds left in the state championship, you really want to make both those free throws. Because obviously a 3-point game like changes a lot of things. So he drains them. Big time stones from Caden Sullivan to hit those.
Yep.
And then Newton North gets kind of a look at the buzzer.
It was better than I thought it was going to be with the.
They get Nick Spinelli on the wing. Kind of last second, he had to sort of rush it because he caught it with probably like 1 second on the clock.
Yep.
And it hits back rim, and oh my God, if that went in,
Yeah.
another buzzer beater to send to overtime. That would have been a movie. What was I gonna say? Then obviously Franklin, first state championship in program history. I want to shout out Jake Olmstead, and those guys.
We were talking about this with the people I was with up top. I thought he defended extremely well.
Yeah,
through a lot
so
of that game.
Tegan ended up at 24, but he was quiet for stretches, especially as Franklin kind of built up that lead, and obviously he kind of fueled that late comeback. But Jake made it really hard on him. I think Jake actually fouled out in those final seconds, so it wasn't him on the court, but they denied Tegan the ball.
Yeah, he gave it was the intentional foul. I don't know if it was intentional actually, but they were up 3 and he fouled out, which ended up being like a really good move. And I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but that was huge because I'm very pro you foul up 3 for sure. And so that ended up being really helpful for them.
Yeah. So he wasn't on the court for that final sequence where they were going for a shot, but I forget exactly who it was, but they denied Tegan Swint the ball. Like they were literally like, we're letting anyone else beat us besides Tegan Swint, and it worked.
Yeah,
understandable. So yeah, like I said, Franklin first state championship in history. If you read my story online, there's a lot of emotion post game. Caden Sullivan was a lot of tears. His eyes were just like beet red post game when we were talking to him, and I won't get into all the details, but the Franklin community has gone through a lot of tragedy, especially some of their classmates 2 years ago. And CJ Neely, their head coach, talked about how the community has really rallied around them, and other community members have talked to him about just how much this team means to them, and so that's really cool to see, because that's what MIAA basketball is really all about.
Yeah.
I know we cover a lot of prep basketball, and that serves its own purpose, but MIAA really galvanizes communities like that. I think stuff like that really matters, and it's what makes championships like Sunday like really cool to see and meaningful.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see, and yeah, so much to say about Caden Sullivan too. We don't have a ton of time to talk about Caden, but again, 31 points. He was unreal in this tournament. I think he had 26.8 per game. His rebounding was insane.
How tall is he? About
He's 6 feet.
Okay, not that tall.
He averaged 8 rebounds a game in this tournament. And I was at a few of their games. I went to their BR game that they advanced this to the Final Four. He just is fearless, like going in, like with the inside, like, and I don't know, MIAA, there's not a lot of like taller players, but like taller than him. And he's going in there and battling those guys for rebounds and big rebounds too. It's not like, it's like these are like critical rebounds that they need late when they're trying to hold on to leads and things like that. So we were talking with a few guys courtside, and they were surprised that he's only going to Endicott. And no disrespect to Endicott or anything, but I think they thought he
was D1.
I don't know, D1, maybe even a better D3.
Okay,
higher D3, because just his skill level is just crazy. So
yeah,
Endicott got a really really good player. I can't wait to see what he does there next season. And Tegan Swin at Johns Hopkins. Maybe they'll meet up again. I don't know. I don't think that's the same conference.
Yeah, I don't think so, but you never know.
We're getting off the tracks here, but
yeah,
just an epic duel between those two, and a fitting cap to an incredible championship weekend. My first one, that was fun.
Yeah,
your fourth. You're a vet. You were helping me around figuring out where everything was.
They make it pretty easy. I think they generally do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I like the venue.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the TD Garden conversation.
We can do that another time. I think TD Garden would be cool if they can make a way to make that happen again.
But if you're not doing TD Garden, I think Tsongas does a good job.
Yeah, it's big enough. Like obviously they're not going to sell out unless there's like some really like high profile name or team coming in.
Yeah.
But it was like for that D1 boys final, it was probably
that was good.
65-70% full.
Yeah, and I've seen even. I remember 2 years ago, I think it was Worcester North and I don't remember who they played. Maybe it was like Needham.
Yeah.
But that was the largest crowd I'd ever seen. And it was a good like 80% full. Like you started filling up those like rings around. So
yeah.
It fills up.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it, I think, for Newton North Franklin.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts on the weekend?
Not really. The only I was talking to a coach about this week. Not really related to these games, but we were talking about how good the 2025 girls class is. And I would say for prep and MIA, like, I don't know if there's like another time I can send this off, but, everyone who watched basketball this season should appreciate how good the 2025 class was. Like it is definitely one of the best and deepest that, this region's had in a long time between like some of the nationally ranked prep people and the high major commits going there, and then you think about MIA and some of the like 2,000 point scores we saw, a lot of these like dynamic guards that carried their teams to some state championships and stuff like that. This is like, appreciate how good and deep this class was across prep and MIA, because it was absolutely stacked. Definitely the best class that I've ever covered. So salute to this class. I don't know.
Definitely the best class I've covered too.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
the only class.
I don't know if we're going to talk about that in another pod, but just in case we don't, I want to make sure that people know that. Yeah, it was good.
We can make some time for that. We got some free time.
Yeah, we do. We got time to kill now. Although AAU starts literally this week.
AAU season's that season's loading right now. I think that'll do it for us. That's it for the school season. Incredible few months. That was fun. Before we know it, I'm sure the 25-26 season will be here before we know it.
Yep.
They'll do it. Check out all our championship coverage. It's continuing to come over the next couple weeks. Basketballjournal.com. And like we said, AAU season's right around the corner. And that'll do it for us. Again, for producer Dave, Ethan Fuller, I am Steve Hewitt. We'll catch you next time on the HoopWise podcast.